This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, November 10th, 2006, and this is episode number 177 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hodgeberg from MGMstudios.org, which is also the new home of Mike Scopa, and we're also giving away an iPod this week, so stop on by. On the show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
The new home of Mike Scopa?
Oh, yes. Mike Scopa's readings, columns, all that good stuff is now going to be also available at mgmstudios.org.
And by the way,
Ka-ching.
By the way, I want some inside scoop on this iPod thing.
You see, anyone can win the iPod thing, Newell. You got to answer the questions. You got to be quick. You can win the iPod, baby.
I'm gonna have Team Newell work on it this weekend.
Team Newell.
You and Mary.
We also have Mr. Len Testa, who's co-author of the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
I will work for food.
Preferably chocolate.
Chocolate, exactly.
And Mike Scopa, the newest member of Team Matt, is here. Welcome, Mike.
Now, dear friends, you're probably asking, what could the galaxy's leader in sophisticated technology possibly do for me? Well, how would you like to travel anywhere, anytime, at the touch of a button? Science fiction? No. Behold the XS Series 1000.
Very nice. And today we are talking about the Osborne Lights. We've talked about previously, we'll have a link in the show notes to these shows, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, as well as the holiday happenings going on at Epcot. And today we're talking about the Osborne Lights, which are going on at the Disney MGM Studios from November 13th, 2006 until January 7th, 2006. But before we get into it, Mike Scopa, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about the history of it? Because this isn't just, Disney, someone at Disney came up with the idea. I mean, this has actually backstory to it that wasn't invented by Disney.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Matt, I think last year the guy who was behind all this, Jennings Osborne, was actually at Walt Disney World to
I saw
take a look at it.
They were interviewing him, and I saw him. I didn't know who it was until later, and it was like, oh, that was Jennings Osborne. But yeah, he was there.
I think he was. I'm not sure about this, but I think he was involved in some type of. He was a businessman that was involved with the auto industry. But anyways, he one year put up some Christmas lights on his house because his daughter, and I think her name is Breezy, I think I got it right this year, she was a little, I don't know, she just was under the weather, maybe she just lost, something or whatever, but he wanted to cheer her up, so he put up some lights, and it really cheered her up, and she got so excited that the following year he put more lights up and added more displays. Then he ran out of room, and he decided, I need more room. So what he did is he bought the house on the left side of his property, he bought the house on the right side of his property, and he started decorating those houses. Pretty soon his neighbors complained, and there were all kinds of lawsuits, and it actually went to the Arkansas Supreme Court. And what happened was that I believe it was October 1994 that it was declared that they ruled that his house was a public nuisance. He had his house and the other two houses. I guess at that time he had up to 3 million lights, and it just was bothering the neighbors because I think it probably attracted traffic, and that probably didn't bode well with them. And so then he was legally barred from causing a, quote, spectacle. And
no pun intended.
Yeah, he was found in contempt of court because he just kept going, and he was fined $1,500, and he was given a 10-day jail sentence, which they suspended that, and but they ordered him to pay something like $7,000 in attorney fees, and that's how it all started. Well, with all this hoopla, someone very who had been doing a lot of research for the Disney company saw this and said, maybe we can do something with that. So in 1995. The Walt Disney Company brought the Osborne Christmas lights to Walt Disney World, and that was in 1995, and I guess the agreement was for 5 years, and it's 11 years later, and they're still going strong. So that's basically how it started. It started with a businessman trying to keep his daughter happy during Christmas time, and the rest is history.
Len, there's a lot of interesting stats about the Osborne Lights in terms of all the numbers and things like that. Since you're our resident nerd, why don't you
I'm the resident nerd.
I think that's the PC term for it.
So I think the couple of interesting things. One is I think they've actually lost count as to how many millions of bulbs they have, because now, I mean, the last couple of years I heard it was in the $3 million range. Now they're not even referring to millions of lights. What they will say though is they've got 400 dimmers that this year, which they've added to include choreography for dancing lights that swirl and soar in an exhilarating medley of holiday music.
Yeah,
every
they're
15
having
minutes.
The dancing lights are new this year for our listeners
That's
who
right.
aren't familiar. Before it was just the lights were just on, like traditional Christmas lights. But these, I'm sure we've all seen those videos last year of that house. You probably got a link in YouTube or something. I'll post a link in the show notes. I think Newell has it as his screensaver. And it was, the lights moved to the music, which when you think about it, oh, well, that's a really neat idea. But really, the more I thought about it, haven't they been doing that for years with the winter lights at Epcot?
I think
The lights
so.
dance there to the. I mean, it's the
Oh,
same
the lights
idea.
of winter. The lights
But
of winter.
the lights
It's
of winter
still-
is a little bit different.
Yeah.
This is more like a residential kind of idea, technically. I mean,
Right.
they're
Lights
not
of
correct. But
lights.
why don't you keep going, Lynn?
According to Deb's site, there are 32 miles of extension cords, which honestly is only a little bit more than what I have it in my office for computers.
Right.
43 hidden Mickeys and 100 gallons of snow fluid a night. And my question is please, dear God, don't let someone be selling Disney 100 gallons of snow fluid a night, because really that means they're just buying 100 gallons of water. Please, Lord.
We need snow fluid.
Don't tell me that my $72 a night, $73 a day for admission is going to pay for snow fluid from some company. Please, I don't want to know. That's funny.
Yeah, right. The Poland Spring guy comes in with his water, and then he's like, "Oh, this is snow fluid." So we got all the lights. The lights, of course, are being held on Streets of America at the Disney MGM Studios,
Snow.
and you enter right by the commissary lane over there by the Sci-Fi Dine-In Theater. There's a huge line usually when the lights are about to turn on, which is about 6 o'clock. And
Hey, I'm impressed. Commissary Lane, you actually knew that? I'm impressed.
Commissary Lane, baby. It's almost like I run some sort of information.
You know what you need? You
area
need to
for-
you need an outlet for that.
Yeah, I really should look into that.
You know what I did last
He
year?
needs
though,
a
instead of-
hobby.
really. You know what I did last year that was different than starting at Commissary Lane? I actually started over by
By Alice Toy Barn over there?
no,
Like, did it
well,
reverse?
close. I started by Lights Motor Action, and I
How'd you
worked
get
my
there?
way back.
Yes, you came in like by.
I
Mama
came in like around
Margaret's.
like at 4:30 or so.
Oh, I
Found a
see.
nice
You
park
you
bench.
like you hid out over there. I see what you're saying.
No, I was actually there. There's like a little park bench that's sort of it's like the last park bench. If you're facing the Lights Motor Action, the big sign, there's a park bench to your left right there. It's sort of
Oh, yeah.
behind a freaking bush, and
Yeah, it's sort of like parallel with the singing. in the
I
Rain
can't believe that
umbrella.
you know where it's at. But okay,
Yeah.
Must
interesting
be
to
some
say-
cold winter nights up there in Connecticut. Anyway,
This is just payback for that nerd comment, isn't it?
so I stood there. But the only problem with that was, of course, when the thing actually starts at 6 o'clock. Well, first of all, you got a great view of the lights actually turning on, and that was fabulous. That was worth the wait. But I felt like salmon swimming upstream
Oh yeah.
at 6:02
Oh,
when I
yeah.
actually wanted to leave the park, and I was like, "Excuse me, pardon me."
Well, there's a
excuse me."
lot of people who go there.
It was literally wall to wall. You couldn't. I don't see how you could bring a stroller. You couldn't a wheelchair, an ECV. It was just complete and utter gridlock.
Well, you know what I'm thinking this year? Last year and in years previous to that, I mean, it was just regular lights. But this year, we're going to have the moving lights, and these moving lights it's going to be the regular lights, and then every 15 or 20 minutes, they're going to do the moving light things. So you know what that's going to mean? When the moving lights go on, everyone is going to stop moving. So if you're, at one part and you want to try to get out, there's no way you're getting out until the
Yeah.
lights stop dancing, because everyone's just going to be in rubbernecking mode. And which is fine. I mean, but just got to keep that in mind. So you definitely want to give yourself a lot of time if you want to see it. There's also, Len, do you have handy how many hidden Mickeys there are?
I don't recall off the top of my head, but
I have my
lower
list over
40s?
here. Yeah, I have 43.
40-ish. Oh, 43. That sounds about right. What does Deb's site say?
I don't. That's on my site. I have 43.
Oh, on your site. Well, you would know actually. You're the authority.
says
So if you
43.
say 43, then I believe you.
I tried counting last year. I got to about 20 something, and then you start getting into like,
Then
was
your
that
eyes
hidden
exploded.
Mickey?
Yeah, I see Hidden Mickey. Yeah, pass the eggnog, dude. Dude, that is so totally Hidden Mickey. Dude.
You know, one of the displays I liked last year was on one of the side streets over there, and I was really impressed by it. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but they had like a barbecue set up.
It's you.
And where the coals were, they had these like lights that were like interwoven. They're like tube lights, you know what I mean? Instead of like Christmas lights.
Tube lights.
Where was that, man?
On this, like on the little side street. They used to be like, like where Chinatown was. It's now
Oh,
it's
yeah,
that
yeah.
street going.
Is that the diagonal? Is it
Yeah.
the diagonal
The Muppets,
side?
on the side of the Muppets?
Kind of in that direction.
Okay. The Toy Barn, Al's Toy Barn.
Yeah, not quite that far, but anyway, it was on that one of those little side streets off of the main drag over there, and it looked like, I mean, it was a barbecue. And rather than coals, like I said, they had these orange lights. I have a picture of it. I'll post it in the show notes to show you guys.
I think they had that on Residential Street years back.
I just thought it was really cool.
On one of the lawns. It was really cool.
So what were the coals? Little.
They were like, like those tube lights. Like if no, you're the technical guy. What are they called? And
Neon?
yeah, neon. Thank you.
You couldn't think of
That's
neon?
technical, baby.
That thing.
Yeah,
right. They were neon lights that were like they were interwoven. They weren't like straight parallel lights. They were like woven together, kind of to make it look like it was like a fire. And it was really cool. I'll post a picture.
Cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. And of course they have the for me in Goldhaber, they have the Jewish lights in a little corner somewhere over there.
I always there's always what I always try to do when I go down to see the Osborne Lights is that I stand at the very beginning of Big City Streets, and so I'm in front of that area where they have like the Empire State Building, and I'm looking down towards the where Lights Motor Action is. And if you do that, the way they've got the lighting, it looks like you're looking through a forest of Christmas trees, because they have this blue, a sort of a powder blue, powder blue, like almost like a screen or a curtain, and then strewn throughout are these white trees, and it looks like just trees in the forest that have, and light snow had been falling on it. It's a pretty neat effect. Yeah,
That's interesting.
Yep.
Now, the lights I said earlier, the lights do go on at 6 o'clock p.m., and of course there will be people lining up probably as early as 5:30 to try to get in to go see them, unless you're camp out over there.
Oh, I was already there. Yeah.
Yeah. But when you're, if you can, you should if you can, wait for the initial crowd to like go through, because all those people. If you want to go there at about 6:30, you'll probably. I mean, there'll still be people there. I'm not going to say it's going to be empty, but you're not going to be in that huge throng of people that are going through there. Mr. Newell?
Are they going to do the 3D glasses thing again?
I don't think so. I don't think they did them last year.
No, I don't recall them last year.
Yeah, I didn't get one last year, and I haven't seen anything mentioned about them, so I think they're gone. And I think 3D glasses are so Arkansas.
Aren't the
okay, no
Lights
emails from Arkansas now.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
The other things to keep in mind, the best time to go, hands down, is during Phantasmic.
Is it night?
3 o'clock in the afternoon, not a great idea.
No, not nearly as good.
But
Unless you got a good imagination.
Yeah, you just close your eyes really tight and rub them really hard. Ooh, lights!
Yeah, definitely during Phantasmic, although a lot of people want to be able to see Phantasmic and the Osborne Lights in the same night, which is possible. It's not out of their own possibility. What happens is, a lot of people want to know how you can fit them all in. Well, it's hard to do it. If Phantasmic is usually around 7 o'clock at that time of the year, so it's hard because you need to get in line to get a seat for Phantasmic. So what happens is, when Phantasmic is over, on most nights, they'll allow you to go after Phantasmic. The park is obviously closed at this point. However, you will be able to go see the lights. The only caveat is if there's anything going on after hours. If there's a cast member meeting or there's an after-hours event going on, then they obviously have to shuttle you out of there. But on most nights, you should, emphasis on should, be able to see the lights after Phantasmic of that night. And of course, if there are 2 showings of Phantasmic, just go during the first showing and see Phantasmic during the second showing.
That's smart.
Mr. Scopa, you're the big photographer. You like videotaping these things. Have you had any tips, any experience with videotaping?
Is there anything special you gotta do for those photos? I'm trying to flip through my my old ones that have.
I think that the important thing to do when you videotape the Osborne Lights is making sure that you pan very slowly, and a lot of people try to capture as much as they can, and just give yourself a lot of time and just pan very slowly. And do it, do it if you can near. Well, I guess the PA system is so good it doesn't matter where you're standing. But if you can get somewhere close to a PA, to a speaker or whatever, and just pan very slowly, I think that's the best way to do it. Also, fading in and out.
Star fade, baby.
Yeah, star fade.
Star fade to everything.
Actually, I do a. I think I do a. I forget what it's called. Some certain kind of mosaic fade in and out with mine, and what makes the lights look really. I think what you need to do is you need to, fade in and out in several spots. Pick 4 or 5 main areas that you want to record. Don't try to record everything on one swoop. Just say, okay, I'm going to do the nativity. So you pan very slowly with the nativity with some music, and then let's say you're going to do the angels in the square. You do that, and then you're going to do big city streets, and then you're going to do the side where you were talking about where they have the coal. I think that doing it in little groupings, I think, is the best way to do it.
If you're taking photos, still photos, if you're using 35mm, you're on your own, dude. I don't know. That's way old. But for digital cameras, you're probably going to want to look for a setting for either nighttime or fireworks mode. Usually works. And of course, it's really the key is to be very still, because otherwise you'll get those really weird wavy photos that looks good if you're on ecstasy, but really doesn't look good to the rest of us. Studios for the holidays is the Holiday Parade, which is just an overlay of the regular Stars and Motors Cars Parade. I'm not very high on this one. I mean, you just, they put, Christmas stuff on all the floats and call it a different parade. I'm not sure it's that impressive, and we all know what Len thinks of the afternoon parades in general.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be totally concerned about seeing that. But again, and I think ideally, if you're seeing the Osborne Lights, ideally you would spend 2 nights, 1 night in Phantasmic and 1 night for the lights. And of course, there's snow. We mentioned the snow. Yeah, that's right. One was saying about the
snow is fabulous.
Snow fluid, baby.
Snow fluid.
There's no fluid like snow fluid. Sorry.
Oh.
Well, that's it for us today. If you want to read our show notes or send us your comments or find older episodes, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Newell, and Mike Scopa, who's on mgstudios.org, I'm Matt Hochberg of mgstudios.org. We'll see you on the next show.